there's a whole new batch of students all ready to enter college. College is starting for them the first time. This is, of course, the one milestone that they've been looking forward to for so many years. But there can be a dark side to getting to know your seniors as well. We call it ragging. It's been in the news for all the wrong reasons for far too many years. So today, as so many of you get set to enter college to begin a new phase of your life, we're asking, is ragging still a threat for freshers? And with us, we have Prachi Bharadwaj, who believes yes, it is, and Ankur Ehlawat, who thinks that we've sort of overcome that fear. That's an interesting thought, Ankur. We're going to get to more from you on that in just a bit. But Prachi, why do you believe that there are still all those out there who are perhaps petrified or ought to be aware, you know, of this big sort of danger called ragging? You have a minute to present your views.
Yeah, you know, basically before we ask this question, that is it still a threat, I think we need to know why. There is a difference between eradicating an ill practice completely and between making people believe that it has been eradicated, you know, because definitely there is a decline in the number of cases which were reported for ragging about this ill practice, but we should know that the cases have not declined, the cases that were reported have been declined. Right. There is no reporting of such cases now. So that is the issue, I believe.
Right, that's true. You believe that it's not like the number of incidents have come down, you're saying. It's just that perhaps people aren't coming out and reporting them as much, which is interesting because in recent years we've seen that the spotlight being firmly on ragging. You have helplines, you have numbers, you have task forces, you have crackdowns, you have the Supreme Court. But Ankur, you believe that it's not a threat. Why is that?
Yeah, so there are two ways in which this can be answered. One would be what the system has done for the freshers to sort of protect them from this practice. And the second would be what the freshers can do or are doing for themselves to sort of protect themselves. Now, coming to the second part first, I think the conventional first year is now not the same. When the transition from coming to school to college is not the same anymore. It's not like the little lamb coming to the big bad world. It's much simpler for him there, so him or her. So what they do is for them, having access to information about the college, their seniors, their batchmates, all of that has become much easier due to the social networking that they have access to. So they sort of have this very strong support system that they can lean back against. Even before coming to college, you can, the kind of things that they have access to is like, they have maps of the colleges, they have their faculty that is all listed on their websites. So this information, when they have all of this information, they become less vulnerable to this ill practice.
Right.
Yeah.
Your time's up, so I need to interrupt you there. But among the other things, the takeaway was no longer sort of the shy lamb entering the big bad world. You're sort of ready because you're more aware. Prachi, respond to that. Awareness has come in, which is perhaps, you know, when you're saying that incidents are not being reported, has awareness coming in? We're sort of saying that, no, I can handle this. Is that why it's not being reported? Respond to that.
Like he said, that it is not the same. But let me tell you one thing. I think it completely depends upon an individual and it depends upon the kind of school or background he's coming from. I think it differs. A person, like if you think that access to social networking makes you comfortable, I think for another person it does not. It's not comfortable for me, you know, first of all the individual level, and then I still believe that school is a cocoon and we get out of school, I think it is a complete different world. And I don't think that awareness, definitely, you should be aware when you get into college, you know about a lot of things that fine, this is the map, this is where I need to go. These things help, these things matter, but then if devil has to make a way, they definitely can.
Right, so respond to that, Ankur, that, you know, not everyone perhaps would be as aware, not everyone perhaps would be as connected on these social networks. What if I'm coming from that part of India or you know, a small town where, and now I'm entering this big bad world, which is not just college, but also new city, urban India and all of that. So then is it different? Is it on a case-by-case basis?
Yeah. So coming to that, there's what the system has done for these students. Now, like you mentioned, there are helplines, there are anonymous complaint systems there. So when I was entering college, I had to sign an affidavit. My parents and I both had to sign that affidavit that said that I would be expelled or I would be debarred from continuing with my examinations if I was to indulge in such a practice. Now, the message that sends is that not only am I going to be punished for this practice, but also that in general it is also not tolerated. So, and when it comes to ragging, I think it's a very cyclical problem. When I am ragged, I will be, you know, I will be forced to continue the tradition.
You need to break that cycle somewhere and say that just because I was ragged doesn't mean that I'm going to sort of pass that down and all of that. You know, you're saying that the message has been zero tolerance for ragging. Do you believe that that message has sort of percolated down to those? Because we still keep hearing lots of unfortunate cases, but do you believe that that message has percolated down? What do you see around you, in your peers, amongst your peers?
Yeah, I think definitely it has reduced because of all these kind of things, zero tolerance, that we will not tolerate ragging. And I think freshers have also gained that mentality that no, we are not going to face any kind of insult or that kind of, definitely it is there. But then if I would like to mention, because he talked about the helpline number, which you said that people are aware and people know, let me tell you that this helpline number, it registered only 0.1% of its total phone calls. So there is no accountability of all these helplines. There is no accountability whether they are functioning, they are not functioning. You do not know about each college. You cannot go and check in each college. So these kind of things are said.
I see your point, Prachi. You're saying that you can't really be everywhere. You can't be policing every institution. You can't be present everywhere. And you know, this 0.1% of calls really raised many eyebrows when that news did emerge.
I'd like to respond to that by saying that when you have the when you have the Supreme Court sending out guidelines, when you have the UGC sending out guidelines, all of that really sort of assures a student that he is sort of safe in his collegiate environment. And if we are not to blame the system, if you are to sort of look inside, when the freshers are to look sort of introspect and see what they can do, I think if it was there. When they come from environments where they've worked hard, they've sort of made it to a really good college. So that at this point, their confidence is sort of very high. And I think the camaraderie between freshers is now increased because of the social networking that I had mentioned. You get to know your seniors, you get to know your batchmates. So when you have that kind of solidarity already,
sort of makes it easier to sort of break in, and you sort of, you know, you have that support. You're not on your own. But I do want to sort of spend some time talking about something else, which is, you know, going to bring me to my next question. I'll ask you that first. You know, for many years we've heard people say, you know, especially your seniors say ragging isn't all that bad. And to use a cliche, they always said it's the way of the seniors getting to know the juniors. And I frankly never really wrapped my head around it, because it's okay being made to look, you know, silly or, you know, foolish around a bunch of people. But sometimes we do take it to the to really extremes. We've seen very unfortunate cases of students losing their lives. So really, is there good and bad ragging? Do you believe that we can really make that distinction?
No, absolutely not. So, what I believe is there is sort of an interaction that needs to take place as soon as students when freshers get into college. But how we sort of in what environment this is done is what is key here. So if the college itself can organize sort of an orientation for the students,
some sort of event,
a more controlled environment in which they can interact. Initially, when this activity was undertaken, it was sort of like a familiarization of the students to sort of get the mutual respect of juniors and seniors. But that obviously has taken a more hostile or a more threatening turn now. So I think when colleges can make an effort for a more safe interaction between the two batches, I think that is where the key lies. Yeah.
Of course, perhaps the cynics would argue that not sure how many of those who are, you know, really intent on ragging the way they ought not to, you know, would sort of fall in line. But that is a good thought. That why doesn't the college step in? But do you believe that there was once upon a time, you know, it was said that this is something that you have to go through. Going into college means that you will be ragged. You know, it's almost like after school college, then in college ragging. So do you believe that, you know, this good ragging, bad ragging? Do you believe that who decides?
I agree with him actually, you know, that we cannot say that this is good ragging, this is bad ragging, because for me, like for example, if I go into college and the initial 1 week somebody comes in last and says you're ugly, just like that. For that particular person it is nothing, but for me it is everything. For me that particular person is tormenting me. So you know, it is again upon the individual. You cannot decide the comfort level of the other person. You cannot decide that the other person is comfortable with it or not comfortable with it. So this distinction, good or bad, is I think not possible, because it completely differs. It is very personal thing, exactly.
Right.
So this cannot.
What works for you may not for me, and vice versa.
Exactly.
Right. You know, we've of course, like you've mentioned, the spotlight has been on ragging. There are all those who are getting into institutions, especially the ones, you know, which have boarding and which have hostels. Somehow ragging seems to be really ingrained there. However, there are institutions at the same time who've managed to ensure that there is a zero tolerance. You mentioned the example, you know, of like the college stepping in. Were you ragged? Let me ask you that first.
No, I was not. So
you're not just saying that.
No,
I'm
not.
It's a politically correct thing to say.
No, I'm not. See, when I came to college, there was obviously a sort of like my introduction to my seniors was a lot more pleasant, and so what I do believe is they did come into class and sort of ask students to sing or dance, and they had the option of declining. There was no, but what I do believe is there is no real line where the sort of the new mindset is that even when you're asking your junior his name, you might be sort of
your tone perhaps could be questionable, or you know.
Yeah, so I think the line between being friendly with a junior or sort of asking them how they're enjoying their life here, that I think can't be drawn, and that is why it's dangerous to sort of tell someone tell a senior what to do
what's
with their
okay and what's not.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right, what's okay and what's not. Were you ragged, Prachi? No.
I think I have the same story. My seniors came and they were very friendly. They were very comforting rather. They told everybody, the whole class, about all the teachers. Rather, they were very supportive, and they told us that this teacher is like this, don't bunk.
Was that a surprise? What were you expecting? What were your friends expecting? What were your peers expecting? I mean, both of you are saying this, but was it sort of, did it come, I would imagine, like a pleasant surprise? Were you prepared for, you know, for worse?
No. Honestly, no. I knew that, yes, I would be comfortable because definitely I had my elder sister and brother. They told me that, you know, nothing would happen, just be comfortable, be good to everybody, don't unnecessarily get into any argument, and also it was not a surprise that they're comfortable or they are trying to make me comfortable. So, no, it wasn't a surprise actually. I had that thought that it would be good and they won't rag or something like that.
Right.
And I don't think it happened.
Right, and we of course hope that this is what you're going to pass on, this sort of this healthy spirit ragging, as it were. Do you have one thing in mind that you're going to do to break the ice with your juniors? Because at one time it was almost like a rites of passage, right? That you're going to go through it. So I'm sure, I mean, this never going to end, but what can we do? What would you say if a junior came up to you and said that I've been ragged badly and I don't know who to turn to, but I don't even think it's so extreme that I want to report it? What does a student do in that case?
If I was a senior, obviously offering my support would be my first reaction. Would sort of to tell them how to deal with the situation, because I've been here been here longer. So really to tell them what teacher, what faculty can support you, to help them out with any if they think it's getting more severe, to sort of help, you know, intervene if the student thinks that's okay. And also once this process is over, once the student is done dealing with this, I think I'd also like to tell him to sort of not take it further with his or her juniors, because it's always about how things were given to me and how I'm going to give it to yeah. So
coming back to the point you made right at the beginning, that we need to break the cycle. Just because it happened with you, you need to draw the line somewhere. We're going to be wrapping now, but last words, Prachi, someone sort of came up to you and mentioned it, and again we come back to how much is too much. It's just too subjective, like you said, that someone could say, you know, say not something unpleasant about physical appearances, and somebody might not like that. It might be someone who can handle something far more severe and be okay and deal with it and move on and be absolutely fine. So what would you say?
I think if a junior comes up to me and if that person has been dragged or something, definitely I think I would comfort him or her, and yes, I would advise that what can he do further. But I think one point I would definitely like to make is that when I was researching, I realized that in a lot of states the maximum punishment for a person who has ragged is he's liable to like 5,000 INR or maybe 2 years of imprisonment.
Right.
I think that is
And that's,
too
of course,
less.
like we know what happened in the Aman Kachru case. They
Exactly.
were
They
also let
were-
off early
Yeah,
before they
exactly.
even finished their sentence.
Exactly.
And all of that, of course, still playing out. But I see the point that you're making, that perhaps we need stronger deterrence in place. Of course, Ankur thinks that there is a zero tolerance policy and that's been put out. But the last word on this clearly hasn't been spoken. Hopefully, all of those of you who are watching and are getting into college will be ragged, well, if to use that word, will be interacting with your seniors. Maybe that's a more politically correct term to now use, since ragging seems to have become a bad word, but will have some sort of a healthy interaction where you come to know them, come to know the institution where you've joined. And for all you seniors out there, hopefully you've been listening in and have clear views. Like we've been saying, break the cycle. If it happened to you, it doesn't mean that you have to pass it on to another year, another batch as well. But Ankur, Prachi, thanks both for coming in and sharing your thoughts with us. We're taking a quick break now, back with lots more.